Good morning, YouTube land. This is Raymond, your music producer today, and I'd like to explain a little bit about Ableton Live and its use with InstaComposer2 and also its wrapper Unify, which I use to populate the MIDI from InstaComposer2 to the VSTs to Ableton. So I ran into a dilemma last week when I bought InstaComposer2 in that it didn't seem to sync and without you pressing InstaComposer2 play. So I'll show you that, and then I'll show you the workaround that's easy, and then I'll show you the workaround that I figured out last night before I read the manual this morning to show me the easy way. So, and I'd like to thank Mr. Jürgen Leitz, that's Kai Jürgen Leitz, for his tutorials, and because he's the one who put me onto InstaComposer2 and also Unify. So thank you, Mr. Kai. Keep up the good work. You're much better at teaching than I am. So anyway, let's get back. If you go to InstaComposer2 and Ableton and you press play, what you will see is nothing here. All you hear is the background, which is the Ableton drum that's already pre-populated. So to get around this, I'll just show you one more thing. This is how I had to go when I first got it, and it's not always synced to the drum. So to work around this, it's simple. You just go to menu, scroll down to start and stop with the host playback, and click that, and it works. See? Stop in Ableton, start in Ableton, and it's all synced. The drum, everything. So I'll go ahead and disconnect that. Show you again. There you go. It's not working now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to quickly show you my workaround, and then you'll know for a future reference if you need a workaround for something else. So I created an empty MIDI track. I titled it Insta Dummy, and I put in 4 bars. In InstaComposer that would be 16 lengths, but in Ableton Live it's 4 bars. So if you see that at the bottom here, you can see that it's 4 bars and it's populated with 1 note. And basically this note I stretched all the way across the 4 bars, and this is your trigger note. It can be any note. It doesn't have to be C, it could be E or A or anything. To trigger it, you just press play. Also, there's one more caveat here. Stop, and it stops. I had to MIDI to Unify, and I also had to send the trigger to a MIDI track within Unify. Unify has 16 MIDI tracks, so you can send it to any one of those, because Unify listens for all MIDI tracks. And if you press play, oh, actually I set this specifically to 1 within Unify, that's why. I remember now. Okay, so I'll go ahead and disable that by switching that off. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is within Unify itself, and it's to do with the routing. Let me just go ahead and bring over the Unify. So in Unify, to set it up, you've got to populate it with layers. Normally the 6 layers, you just put in an empty NST layer, or if it's a MIDI effect, an empty MIDI effects layer, and then you populate it. So the MIDI effects layer was populated with InstaComposer2, which is what we've seen, and then I put in instruments in these 2, which is what was playing. The routing is done from here for the mini input channels. This one's going to 2, and I did both sides because I wasn't sure which one is active and which one isn't. On this side, you'll select your source, and this is where the MIDI is coming from. In our case, it was InstaComposer2. But if you want to have the MIDI coming from Ableton, an empty track, you can select raw MIDI in, which is there. So we've got raw MIDI in on that as an input, and InstaComposer2 as an input in this. So if we go back to this over here, we can see that we've got a Unify, and that's just Unify itself, which is routed internally. And then you've got MIDI 2, which is going to be my 2 MIDI here, and that is set to Unify as the MIDI 2, and then the channel is the second MIDI channel, which is the same as this. So if I set play on this, you can see that channel 2 is playing. Now, because because it isn't selected inside the InstaComposer, let me just open that up again and select the quick, which is here, start and stop. Okay, this will start playing the Unify, and you'll be able to see both tracks there begin to play. See? Now I thought this was pretty awesome because what you can do is you can either populate this with parts of InstaComposer, or you can do your own. So I'll give you a instance of this. So for instance, if we take 2 and we take the track from here, no, actually that's channel 2, sorry. Take the track, pop it in there, and now that's populated, and we can go so this is the original one. And what I notice about this, and this is the reason that we go with the InstaComposer2, because it's for ideas. And basically what I'd like to do is move this guy over there, and move all of these over one. Put this guy at the end, and now this should be perfectly synced to how I want it. I'm sorry you're not able to sync off there. I apologise for that profusely. So basically that's all I've figured so far, and I wanted to share it with you guys in YouTube land. I hope that you take this and that it makes your production much faster and better now, and I hope that you remember to stay excellent, because you are, most certainly. Have a wonderful day today, and enjoy your life. Bye now.